All right, back to the Cajun and Shamir for our next bout. Logan Dean versus Caleb Frank.
All right, we're going right into our next fight, which is contested at a middleweight division. Out of the red corner, Logan Dean!
Big reaction for Logan Dean making his debut, an independent fighter out of Lillington, North Carolina, in this middleweight bout, amateur MMA presented by Ogle, Elrod, and Burrill. A couple of debuts in this bout. Dean versus Frank. What stands out to you, Bubby Mitchell?
You know, right here, we really don't have much to talk about on Dean. We'll see how he, I saw his weigh-in yesterday. Let me tell you, he's a game dude. And looking at him, I saw him moving before. He is game. Once again, we talked about it earlier. You can't let the independent thing fool you. He's looking to pick up his first win, take it back to the Tar Heel State.
Caleb Frank, heavy-handed striker, throws combinations, and he has been in some interesting battles in that D3 camp. This is his home base here in Johnson City. D3 Sports is where we're at here tonight. Live on FlowCombat.com at Valor Fights 51. Be sure to follow Valor Fights on all the social media accounts. Of course, you can get tons of information on all the upcoming fights, interviews, and so much more. You can hear the Valor Hour each week on Radio Influence, and you can get links to that, everything about all the fighters, card changes, everything like that on the Valor Fights Facebook page, and then also at Valor Fights on Twitter, and then of course the YouTube channel where you can find some of the dark matches that will show up there, and some of the past fights that we've had here at Valor Fights as well. Caleb Frank, Logan Dean, our next bout. Still to come later on tonight. It'll be our main event. Chandler Cole fighting for the Valor heavyweight strap, taking on Aaron Bush, who comes down undefeated from Lancaster, Ohio. Logan Dean, Caleb Frank, and this next bout presented by Ogle, Elrod, and Burrill. Final checks of Logan Dean, who certainly has some fans you can hear in the house at D3. Back to Shamir.
Now introducing out of the blue corner, Caleb Frank!
Caleb Frank, debut for him as well, right here in Johnson City, Tennessee, in his home camp at D3 Elite Sports. So debuts, what nerves,
man,
trying to do too much? What are the things as a coach you're thinking about with debuts?
Not only is he a debut, he's been training for 5 months.
Yeah.
You know, and so, yeah, there's a lot to learn about an athlete. Composure, maturity. You have to know when to let things go. One of the most frustrating things to a coach is to watch your fighter. We just watched Logan Wolf do it, but he actually did the opposite. He did the correct thing. He realized he didn't have an armbar, let it go.
Let's take a look at the tail of the tape in this middleweight bout presented by Ogle, Elrod, and Burrill. Logan Dean and Caleb Frank, two debut fighters, two young guys. Logan Dean, 3 years younger than Frank. Frank, 1 inch taller than Logan Dean. And then a little bit of weight difference there for this bout. Dean weighed in at 184, Frank at 192.8 for this middleweight bout. What kind of gap is that when you're talking about 8 pounds in the middleweight division? I mean, these two were a little bit off in the weight.
Yeah, you're talking about 8 pounds to yesterday.
Right.
Well, and that's another thing as a first-time fighter is weight class placement.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys have never had to cut weight unless they've come from a wrestling or boxing or kickboxing background. None of these guys have. Making weight is also a fight in itself for some people.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next fight is sponsored by the Ogle, Elrod, and Burrill, and it's in the middleweight division. Scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds. Fighting out of the red corner, is making his debut. He's an independent from Lillington, North Carolina. Let's give it up for Logan Dean. And his opponent, also making his debut tonight, fighting out of Johnson City, Tennessee, your very own D3 Elite, Let's hear it for Caleb Frank.
Adam Mays, our referee in this middleweight bout presented by Ogle, Elrod, and Burrell. Amateur MMA, 3 3-minute rounds. Logan Dean in the black and gold trunks from North Carolina. Caleb Frank in the camo trunks from right here at D3 in Johnson City, Tennessee. They touch gloves and we're underway.
Oh,
and big exchange to start.
Logan Green comes out of the pocket hot.
Dean very aggressive, and Mays has to get out of the way of the referee.
Absolutely. Look at these, both these guys are physical specimens.
Yep.
I mean, check them out. Look at the high heat Logan Heat. Logan Dean is throwing some smoke.
A smile, too. And sprawl by Frank. These guys don't look like debut fighters.
No, they don't. And we will, only time will tell if they can carry this pace. But so far, they are both exemplifying as a debut fighter. You are what you train.
You can see the anticipation from the delay in the start. They are letting it all hang out to start this fight.
And I tell you, if you know something about Caleb Frank, this guy carries a lot of emotion into his fight. He really wants this as a career. This is, to him, the start of the rest of his life, as he put it last night. He wants to make a career out of this for his kids. And so this is where it all begins. So you want to be a fighter. This is what a way to enter. He enters with a game, Logan Dean, coming out of the pocket, trying to just take his head off. Good takedown defense right here off Caleb Frank.
Separate, deep breath by Dean, and they reset. Oh, big overhand right, missed.
You know, good wrestling out of Logan Dean right here. Well-timed shot gets in off a nice timed overhand. See if he can stay on top. He's laced the leg up of Caleb Frank, so Caleb can't just pivot to turn to his knee right like he just does now.
Yep.
See if he can bury his head, make him carry a little bit of weight against that fence. Caleb Frank fighting the lock right here, gives the referee the thumbs up. Got a guillotine locked in, but it ain't deep enough yet to be detrimental. Fights the wrist.
Yep.
Nice escape.
Frank tried to separate and kind of grabbed the cage a little bit.
He's got his own guillotine locked in on Logan Dean right now. See if he can finish. Can be a bit tough sometimes when you're pressing against the fence. Gives up the takedown to Logan Dean, passes to side control. The fight will finally slow down a little bit at this point.
Both of these guys using a lot of energy. Now here's Dean on top.
Trying to make the finish, trying to make the night short. Short, choppy punches off Logan Dean. Caleb Frank's in a little bit of trouble. He needs to be exploding, moving his hips, doing anything he can to advance. Good hip escape.
Yep.
Puts him back in front. Let's see what he does with this open guard position right here, Vince.
See if he can buck off. He tries to.
Borderline successful guard pass. Gonna run into the triangle if he doesn't assess a little bit more cautiously right here, Vince.
Wow. What action.
A little bit of blood in the nose right here of Logan Dean, but he doesn't care.
And that's the end of an exciting round one.
Now that's how a first round's supposed to be right there. Now the crowd's moving. Crowd doesn't know Logan Dean, but hey, welcome Logan Dean.
How about setting the bar for your first ever round in MMA?
I mean, that's a pace.
Yeah.
And you know, Logan definitely, if he doesn't come from a wrestling camp, and as far as his history and his base in martial arts in general, he's definitely exemplified the abilities of a good wrestler. He's timing his shots extremely well. He's running his feet, which is something that is a diehard positive for a wrestler, something you don't see a lot of in just slack wrestlers. So he's definitely come from some sort of a wrestling ability, it looks to be.
Yeah, and they're working on a little bit of a bloody nose, as Bubby mentioned in round number one for Logan Dean, but certainly looks
Let's take a look at this replay. He gives up, going for this guillotine, gives up not only a takedown, gives up side control, and then he escalates quick. Logan Dean goes straight to mount, escapes his head, and starts raining down a plethora of punches.
Caleb Frank with Adam Primetime Townsend, who's fighting just a couple fights from now, but he's in the corner of his teammate at D3 Elite. We'll see Primetime in action for the first time since 2016 here in his home area. No touch of gloves, and Dean on the attack to start round two.
You know,
oh, what an uppercut by
Frank. Uppercut, responding with his own hooks, throwing bombs. Nobody. Beautiful time shot by Logan Dean, finishing on the fence. Beautiful time shot.
Same as before, ducked the shot and then got the takedown underneath.
He's banking on Caleb Frank to load up on that overhand, and he's timing it every time. This is the third one now that he has timed and just blasted Caleb Frank with. Should see if he can establish some top position here, not let Caleb get back up to his base. Caleb here elevating the underhook, doing what he's supposed to do, but you got Logan Dean pinning his head on the fence, doing a good job of just burying his weight on him.
Yeah. Both of these guys are put together, so that's some significant weight to carry in addition to yours.
Right here, good shoulder pressure, short choppy punches by Logan Dean. Just got to be cautious of the cage walk off of Caleb Frank. Right in here is pushing off. No success for Caleb Frank. Logan Dean is a beast on top.
Yeah. Dean continues to work up the body of Frank, who again is on the defensive.
Advances to mount is Logan Dean. Shoulder pressure, about to create some space, looking to throw some heat.
Short, quick shots to the side of the head of Frank.
Let's see if he shotguns his knees up under his armpits, climbs to a higher mount, and starts really raining down some power. Here it comes. Logan Dean, quick separation, big power from the ceiling to the floor right here, but he's doing a good job at riding Caleb Frank's hips, so Caleb can't bump as much. There's no middle ground here. You either got to be in low and mount to ride the hips, or you got to be high and mount. This is what happens if you get in the middle. You give his hips power again.
Yeah, good call, Bubby. And now, with a minute left in the round,
you got Logan Dean on top here. Caleb Frank actually has the correct side free. He's got his left underhook. He needs to escape, get on his hip, start chasing the high butt cheek of Logan Dean so he can begin to build his base back up. His half guard's wide open right here.
Yeah.
It's up for grabs.
Maybe a little bit of the inexperience for Frank.
For sure.
And that arm behind the head of Frank while he's raining down shots to the body of Frank is Dean.
I tell you, the tie trunks fool people.
Yeah.
This boy should have wore a wrestling singlet. He's doing it exceptionally well right now. Back the full mount again for the third time in the fight. Raining down, nothing connecting.
Yeah.
Big one, misses. Logan Dean misses by an inch. Short, got 5 seconds left. Let's see if he can close a gap right here, sealing off another round.
Yeah, those were for show. They were just like tapping arms.
That's it, yeah.
But if a judge doesn't have a view of it, they think you're just raining down, connecting big.
Absolutely.
But nonetheless, obviously that round would go to Dean, right?
Absolutely. Logan Dean so far has sealed off 2 rounds. This round was much more decisive than the last round. You had Caleb Frank opening with a big uppercut. Logan Dean doesn't let the door close. Here comes a replay right here. Then have a half guard right here. Logan Dean's just looking to rain down and just impose his will. He quickly advances from this position straight in the mount again. Right here. Slides right there. That bump is what gets him in trouble. Gets up very high, almost like a deep half position, but Caleb Frank doesn't bite the bait on it.
No damage necessarily to Caleb Frank. Just exhausting to have to be on the defensive like that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Logan Dean's all over it right now. So Caleb Frank this round needs to put him away.
So do you want Frank to not be as exposing with his big looping shots there? And
Neither
striking?
fighter, the entire fight. If we had a CompuBox, nobody's throwing a jab.
Right.
It's been all heat. Spectator viewership-wise, we love it.
Right.
We love it. And you want to see somebody get put down, it looks, I would have honestly guessed no one would have left the first round by the judge of it, the first 30 seconds. But absolutely, he needs to pep the jab out. He needs a level change before he throws that power. If you know that you got Logan Dean timing your overhand.
Or an uppercut if you know he's going to shoot in on you.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Big cut kick.
That might be the first kick of the fight as well, in addition to no jabs.
There goes a jab. All right, making the adjustments is Caleb Frank. Looking composed. Nice body kick. Nice lead hook. Logan Dean times it, runs his feet clean across the cage.
I think Frank looked at his work a little bit too long after he connected with the left.
Absolutely.
Dustin Long in prime time in the corner of Frank.
He needs to be advancing back to his feet at this point right here. I would tell you, throw the kitchen sink at him submission-wise. But with 5 months of training, he's looking for this triangle right here. He is. He's very shallow with it. Top positions where he needs to be imposing some will at. He's really, really, really working to secure a triangle or an armbar from guard right here on Logan Dean.
We haven't seen Frank in a top position to see what kind of ground and pound he could have.
That's right. I mean, look at him. He's a powerful guy.
Yeah. And again,
flat on his hips, advances to mount is Logan Dean right here. Once again, every round has secured this position. Let's see if we can weather it out for 1:40 left.
Number of unanswered shots by Dean as we approach the midway point.
Dean has climbed to a higher mount. Now he's kind of settled back in on the belt line, but you got to look at Caleb Frank's legs. He's not really in a position like he cares to bump. He needs to have his hips loaded, not letting Logan Dean get settled in. Logan Dean is climbing. When he climbs to a higher mount, the power's going to really get turned on. He'll be able to generate from the ceiling to the floor and not have the insecurity of his hips being bumped because he's not riding the hips.
Right. Got to have Frank here as we approach a minute left. Frank is almost hanging on as opposed to showing urgency to get out of this position.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, Dean will take it. There we go.
Hit the skate, works back to a half guard position right here. But he can't stop here. Every time he works at his half guard position, he allows Logan Dean to put him flat on his back and work completely, all the way back to mount. He starts all over again.
Right.
When you get in half guard, establish an underhook. Let your ear listen to the heartbeat. Sit up and begin to pose a threat, almost as if you're chasing a single leg. Here he goes right here. See, he goes to sit up on that hip, and then he ditches it. Allows him to go straight to mount right here. Head and arm choke secured.
Wow.
Logan Dean looking to sell off the submission, and he gets it.
Wow.
Third round, 22 seconds left. Secures an arm triangle. Welcome, Logan Dean. That's a debut fight right there.
Absolutely. What a performance for a debut by Logan Dean, who you would expect will be back in Valor fights and ready to go. Great job by Logan Dean beating a very game Caleb Frank. Dean moves to 1-0. Frank falls to 0-1. What a great job by Dean.
You got Frank was just basing on him and completely gave up the arm triangle, just reaching across him. It's an amateur mistake, and it's something that he can definitely learn from. Nothing to be ashamed of. He weathered a storm for sure. Tough fight for your first fight.
Dean has a great characteristics. He's put together, aggressiveness that we saw, and the finishing ability. You like what you see from a young guy. All right, make it official. Here's Shamir.
Your referee, Adam Mays, stops this fight at 2 minutes and 38 seconds in the third round for your winner via head and arm choke out of the red corner, Logan